know, the Democratic Party in California, they've been through recalls before. They know how it frickin' works. They're subtly, and by the way, if they really gave a shit about anything, if they really gave a shit, he would have just resigned anyway, so he wouldn't even be in this situation. He would have stepped down. So, nobody involved gives a fuck about you. Gavin Newsom doesn't give a fuck about you. The California Democrats don't give a fuck about you. The California Republicans don't give a fuck about you. Larry Elder doesn't give a fuck about you. Caitlyn Jenner doesn't give a fuck about you. No, there are no good guys here, folks.
There are a couple good guys. Dan Kapelovitz is a good guy, and David Moore, Michael Loeb, John Robert Drake. David Moore is the Trotsky. Vote for the Trotsky. Vote for the Trotsky. So there is Ron Placone. He just kind of said as an aside, he'll probably vote for the Green Party or the Socialist guy. So he may vote for Dan Kapelovitz or Michael Loeb or John Robert Drake or David Moore. He could end up voting for the very thing. So this is my strategy. Yes or no, it doesn't matter. Don't leave the second question blank. Yes or no, it doesn't matter. Don't leave the second question blank. If he's not recalled, it doesn't fucking matter, right? But if it's a 50-50 chance if he is recalled, then you're going to put the Republican, Larry Elder. If he is recalled, then most likely, as of right now, Larry Elder will get it. If Ron Placone and Jimmy Dore and all the force the vote crowd doesn't get on this obvious force the vote opportunity. Either Gavin Newsom puts universal health care. He's going to go on and on. Ron Placone goes on and on about how a politician only does things when they're scared, when they're afraid of losing their jobs and they want to keep that job. That's the only time he's been doing broadband internet. He's been denying fracking permits. Now get us some universal health care. Get us universal health care in the next 4 days. Because if he doesn't do that, then that means he was afraid of losing his job, but then he got his job again. Now is the time to strike. Now is the time to show us that you will get us universal health care. Put universal health care up for a floor vote. And when you put it up for a floor vote, then I'll, trust that you'll try to follow through with the rest of your promises. But for right now, California doesn't have universal health care. It's the fifth in the nation for GDP, but last place when it comes to having universal health care. Hey, guess what? Cuba called. They got fucking universal health care in California. So if, poor nations are able to do it, then you would think that California would be able to do it too. So California doesn't have universal health care. Ron Placone and Jimmy Dore, they're all about force to vote on AOC to, get us universal health care for America. If California got universal health care, then their model, could be used for America, and then the rest of the states could use the same model too. So if California got universal health care, then that would be a model for all the rest of the states and for possibly, the entire United States of America through the federal government. So Jesus Christ, get universal health care for California, get universal health care for everybody. But Ron Placone, he says vote no, and then he's just kind of making the second question an aside. It doesn't matter, right? It's either Green Party or it's Socialist. No, Ron Placone, get you and Jimmy Dore and all your motherfuckers to raise the ruckus. Raise the fuck. Even Angel Lynn is going to release the otters to help fix, California's coastline. She's got some progressive things, and you want to talk about people, progressives being afraid of losing their jobs. Anybody who's elected governor would be afraid of losing their jobs. They're faced with, two super majorities, a veto-proof Democratic super majorities. So anybody, whether it's Angel Lynn, Dan Kapelovitz, David Moore, Michael Loeb, John Robert Drake, they're all going to be afraid of losing their jobs, but they're also need to be leaders. And the fact, I want to hear that, hey, we're pushing for universal health care. It's an essential. That's a priority. This is the one issue that they elected me on. I'm getting California some universal health care. David Moore, the Trotsky, will get California some universal health care. So Ron Placone says he doesn't even deserve to be governor, right? These are all pieces of shit. These are all terrible people, okay? They're all pieces of shit. They're all terrible people. I don't have to vote the way Ron Placone does, and we're all not going to vote the same way Ron does, right? So let's assume that you have a big, chunk that votes no on recall, but you have a big chunk that votes yes. Okay, so then it all comes down to question number 2. Who did you vote for question number 2? Did you get yourself together? Did you get organized? Did you say, okay, everybody, we're voting for David Moore? David Moore's my guy. I like David Moore. I think Michael Loeb says a lot of good things. Dan Kapelovitz is a Green Party guy. Even John Robert Drake, he's working class, like a motherfucker. So I know that John Robert Drake, he isn't going to, forget about his war wounds when he goes into the governor's office. He's working class now. He'll be working class in a year from now, so he'll get us universal health care too. So he's just talking about, like, you know, Biden, push him harder, get him in there, and then we'll push him harder. And then he's, you know, sitting there talking, bad-mouthing them and saying how this would be bad for the Democrats if they win the election. If they win the recall, it's bad for the Democrats because they would have got so much money from the donations if Larry Elder would have got in there. That makes no fucking sense. Let's intentionally fucking tank this thing so we can get the donations. If anybody's talking or, you know, acting like that, they should just be out of government whatsoever. Jesus fucking Christ. So this is the whole Kevin McCarthy thing, right? If you don't, you know, if you don't vote no, then you're going to get Larry Elder. You can very much get Kevin Pathrath. You can get Kevin Pathrath's, you know, Bath Chef. You can get his bullshit. Or Caitlyn Jenner. No possible way of getting Caitlyn Jenner. But my point is that if all these forced voters would have coalesced on one candidate, let's say David Moore, and let's say let's get some more so we can get ourselves some universal health care. Next 4 days, Gavin Newsom, you got 4 days, put universal health care on the floor vote. If you don't put universal health care on the floor vote, then we're going to go ahead and vote yes on the recall, and we're going to go ahead and vote for David Moore. David Moore is your guy. We got to wait for the Democratic Party to endorse another fucking person. We can choose who we vote, you know, the second question. We can make our own independent choice. We can figure this shit out for ourselves. I like David Moore. I've been looking at all their, you know, platforms and shit, and I've gone through a whole bunch of them. If you come across some more, then let's hear it. But this is from Brianna Joy Gray. So she was able to, you know, shine a light on David Moore and Michael Loebs, and both of them are some fucking badass motherfuckers. So I'm glad she did. David Moore is the Trotsky. Who's going to get us universal health care? The Trotsky will get us universal health care. So, Ronald Placone, go ahead. You get the,
All we have is our movement and our strategy. And I say the right strategy is let this guy be scared. Make him stay in the seat and make him be scared for a year. And say, hey man, you're scared. You barely got through this recall. You got to deliver on all these things. You got to deliver. This money needs to be delivered. You got to keep denying the fracking permits, which he has been doing. I'm fair where it's due. The guy's been denying fracking permits. He's been doing that. So, yeah. Anyway, that's my thoughts on it. I'm going to vote no on the recall. And how gross is it that this is what our system is? Get your news now.